While I don't dislike any of the chapters so far, chapter 2 is the least interesting one in my opinion. The plot feels bit too similar to The Lion King, without enough of a twist on it. But overall, I don't really have much to say about it. It's just kinda mid in my opinion. I really like the story of chapter 5 and find it interesting. While there are couple scenes that still make me feel a bit iffy, I don't think that's a bad thing. The audition is one of my favorite parts in the entire story, and it still makes me chuckle every time I watch it. I also love the songs in this chapter. It was really cool hearing the characters sing Piece of My World. Absolutely Beautiful is an awesome song that gets stuck in my head every time I listen it, and Minadeyahu is really cute. Nij is a really cute and lovely character, though I'll admit that I was one of the people who suspected that he would turn out to secretly be a jerk. Also his dynamic with Vil is fun to watch, even if there wasn't a lot of it. Speaking of Vil, his overblot scene is my favorite. I find it really interesting that unlike the others, the thing that at least to me seems to push Vil over the edge is him actually realizing what he almost did and how horrible the consequences would have been. And finally, I kinda like the end result of the VDC. While it kinda sucks for the rest of the team and is a bit disappointing, I think it's overall for the better, especially for Vil's character. Would he have actually learned anything if they won, considering his behavior over the course of the chapter? Which is why I also agree with Rook's reasoning for voting for RSA and what he tells Vil. While I think Savannah Claw is cool, it's also the dorm I would like to be in the least. Mostly cause I'm not really an athletic person. Also from what we've seen of the members of Savannah Claw, I don't think I would get along with that many people in there, since I'm not that good with hot-headed people. Also as a side note, as someone whose skin burns easily and is sensitive to dust, looking at the outside areas of Savannah Claw makes me shudder a bit. I absolutely adore Ignihyde's aesthetic. The mix of futuristic and Greek styles works really well. Also as a fan of both sci-fi and fantasy, I like the concept of mixing magic and technology together, as well as technomancy. This is a dorm I feel like I would fit in the best, since I'm a pretty quiet person who loves their alone time and is pretty much a geek/nerd. I have one negative thing to say though. Is it just me, or does the Ignihyde dorm uniform jacket look uncomfortable as hell? The material looks stiff, you know, like those jackets that you can't really lift your arms completely up in when it's zipped up. At the beginning I was sort of indifferent to Vil. He wasn't my favorite, but I didn't hate him. He just came off as another kinda shallow and always perfect kind of character, though there were glimpses of that not being the case. But after chapters 5 and 6, and seeing the other side to his character, I started to really admire him, especially how hardworking he is. Out of all of the dorm leaders, Vil for some reason has always felt most like an actual leader. He just has this really commanding presence and he ultimately really seems to care about people in his own way. Deuce is just adorable. I like how earnest and well-meaning he is. Yeah, sure, he can be irrational and isn't the best at quick thinking, but at least he always apologizes if he has done something wrong. A good boy trying his best. Azul is really fun to me, and one of the reasons is how animated he is. Out of all the characters, he has I think the most expressions, or at least the biggest variety. I also like the mafia boss aesthetic. Another reason I like Azul's character is the fact that I can sort of relate to him in a sense, as someone who was different from the people around me growing up. His overblot scene and backstory still hit me pretty deep to my soul every time I watch them. I also find Azul to be sort of inspirational to me. While I think him trying to hide his past is not a good thing, I can't help but admire him for everything he has accomplished. Also side note, but for someone as cunning and calculated as Azul, he sure gets rattled easily sometimes. One word. Kin. Lol. I really love his design, with or without the tattoos. And overall, while we don't know much about him, I still think he's a fun character. Also, sometimes I just go to the mystery shop just to vibe with the background music and listen Sam's lines. I think I would like this class, considering I love doing experiments during chemistry classes. This one I really can't choose, because on one hand I love almost any kind of games, and so would think I'd really enjoy the board game club. But on the other hand, I also really like experimenting with things and discovering new things, which is why I think I would also enjoy the science club. Also, I've always had an interest in science, even though I haven't always been that good at it as a subject. This is by far the coolest unique magic so far in my opinion. The name, incantation and the effect on the screen when it is cast are so awesome. Also, this spell fits Jamil as a character really well, and it's interesting to think about what it says about him as a person. Out of all the student characters, Ace took me the longest to warm up to. Something about his attitude, especially in the beginning, just rubbed me the wrong way. But throughout the story and events like Ghost Marriage, I started to respect him more and more. So even though he's still my least favorite student character, I can say he still grew on me in the end. This Scaramouche looking ass Catholic twink has been living in my brain rent free since the glorious Masquerade event first came to the JP version. Although, he has competition. And to be completely honest, I have no idea what about him got me so interested in him from the moment I saw him in the event trailer. There's just something about him I find charming. I guess it's because he has some traits that usually make a character appealing to me. Cunning, seemingly confident but not actually, mysterious, and sticks to their beliefs no matter what. What can I say? I'm a sucker for the Masquerade aesthetic. Though on a more serious note, this event has so many elements I like. It introduces a new character and a new location, the Masquerade aesthetic, beautiful outfits. It's based on one of my favorite Disney movies, etc. I really enjoyed the story, though I wish we would have learned a bit more about Rollo's backstory. Like, is what happened to his brother his sole motivation, or was there something else that maybe kinda nudged him more to that direction? Also, it's the only event so far where I managed to get every single card, so that also makes it a bit more special to me. This might be bit biased because it's the location for my favorite event, but I just think this location looks great and definitely like a place I would love to visit. I honestly could have picked any of the glorious Masquerade SSR outfits here, and I was going back and forth between them for a while. But ultimately, I think I like Melius's the most. The black with gold details suit him well, and I like the little hints of green in the cape, heels, earrings and the gem on the collar. The little wheel thing is hanging in the front are also a nice touch. I just think these costumes are really pretty. It's cool how it has all the element you'd expect from a classic vampire/Dracula costume, but it's also really extra, which fits Pomfio. The gold details look nice, and the little flower, but, and poison apple pattern, while to some might make the design look too busy, to me the color of the pattern is just muted enough that it sort of blends in with the gold details, which makes it easier to look at. Also, do I even need to mention those boots? It fits Idia as a character so well, unlike a lot of the fan designs I've seen. Cause while I think all of the fan designs I've seen are really cool, I feel like they lean bit too much into the Greek/Hades side, and don't really feel like, you know, Idia. I like the more futuristic design and the fact you can still see design elements that are clear nods to Hades, while still keeping it fitting to Idia's personality. I also really love the LED mask, it looks so cool. Was really happy when I got this one, since Ruggy is one of my favorites. The first birthday card I actually tried getting, since Azel is one of my favorites. Still find his expression in the groovy art kinda funny. I just think the regular art looks so much better. Like the position in the Ignihyde card looks kinda awkward, and it feels a bit like a downgrade. Another one where I think the original one looks better than the Ignihyde version. Not that I think there's anything wrong with the Ignihyde version, but at least to me, it feels bit like a downgrade when compared to this one. The fireworks in the background look beautiful, and they're blurred just enough that the focus of the art stays on Jamal, who looks amazing in his outfit. He looks so happy / proud in this art, which in turn makes me happy when I look at it. Who gave this little beam permission to be so pretty? I honestly love everything about this card. The background being so dark makes the pinks, purple / violets, white, and gold really pop. Ortho is in the center of the card, so he's the first thing you pay attention to, and there are just enough flowers to where they frame the picture nicely along with Ortho's wings, but they don't draw too much attention to themselves. Cerberus Gear Ortho, with the Styx control room background at the moment. Was so happy when I got this card on the first 10 pull, since I had been really looking forward to it. I just find this one so funny. The interaction between Idia and Azul is so much fun, and I like seeing Idia being the manipulative one for a change. Also, the idea of Azul spending hours just to learn to throw the dice to get the number he wants is so ridiculous, but also so Azul at the same time. This is my favorite mostly because it reminds me of my favorite vignette, since it plays during the scene where Azul and Idia bicker over whether or not Azul is too scared to play luck-based games. But I also love the chaotic vibes this one gives off. Literally every single scene these two interact in has so much gay energy, and I love it. Vil and Rook just complement each other so well, and I love their dynamic. They honestly act like a married couple lot of the time. They trust each other and know each other so well, like for example how Vil was immediately able to figure out Rook's rescue plan in chapter 6. Rook's devotion to Vil is also really cute. The assertive girl boss and the dorky male wife dynamic is just everything. Nothing against him, just not the kind of character I like, and bit annoying sometimes. Okay, I can go more into why I love this character here. First of all, you can thank this man for the fact this channel is a thing. He's been my favorite since the beginning. I relate to him the most. Introvert, stays in his room most of the time, loves games / anime / manga / nerdy stuff, an oldest sibling, mix between confidence and self-deprecation etc. He's such a dork, and I love that. Also, I think he's a really good big brother. The scene where he says that both Robot Ortho and the Phantom Ortho are his little brothers melted my heart. I honestly could just say, Rook is Rook, here, and that would in a weird way explain a lot. But that would be boring. I think what I like the most about Rook is how unapologetically himself he is all the time, and how passionate he is about his beliefs, even if it's also probably his biggest flaw. Another thing I like about Rook is how true to his morals and honest he is. He has his questionable moments, but most of the time it's just funny in my opinion. He's so flamboyant, goofy, and strange in his own way, and I just love him for it. I would choose ICU, mostly cause I could cast it on important things, so that I can find them easily after my scatterbrained ass inevitably misplaces them. It was a bit before the game was released. I remember seeing a picture of Idia while scrolling through Pinterest. I think my first thoughts were something along the lines of, his hair reminds me of Hades, and that art style looks familiar, and I decided to try figure out where this character was from. After finding out about Twisted Wonderland I got pretty excited for the game, since I'm a big fan of Disney villains, and I was already a fan of stuff like Villain Recruiters. although I started actually playing when the English version came out, and I just followed the story before that, cause I don't like playing games where I can't understand anything being said. I really had to think about this one. While I feel like there would certainly be times where I would be close to losing it with everyone's BS, I'm someone who puts others first at least most of the time and likes to be helpful to others, so I don't think I would complain that much. Well, except about having to fight overblots, but honestly, who wouldn't complain about something like that? Also, as someone who gets bored easily, I feel like I at least wouldn't be bored with all of the chaos going on at NRC.
Hi to everyone who watched the video this far. I just wanted to end off by saying how thankful I am for all of your support. When I uploaded my first video, I never thought my channel would get this much attention. Reading all of your guys' comments really means a lot to me. Doesn't matter if the comments are long or short ones. So thank you. And I hope I can continue giving you guys entertaining videos in the future.